Hello Fishers, welcome to Haddock Tackles How-Tos. My name's Jason. Look, today I'm going to touch base on a little bit of general knowledge on rods themselves. As you all know, in this game, knowledge is the key. So the more you know, the more simpler it's going to be for you, especially when purchasing a product, to get the right application for what you want to do and the maximum bang for buck for what you want to do. So the tips I'm giving you today are just your basic idea on how to read rods that are in your face in tackle shops locally around the Satan area, so you can get an idea of what's going on and what to look for. So in saying that, keeping it simple, I have people come in saying I want a light setup to be able to catch bass, or I want a light setup to be able to catch snapper. So difference being, I'll pull out a 2 kilo or a 2 to 5 kilo rod for someone to fish for their jacks. And people will say to me, well, that rod says 2 kilos, what if I want to play a 7 kilo fish? It's not going to do it. Well, that's not the case. It's super simplicity. It all boils down to the angler's skills at the end of the day and the environment they're fishing. So the weight class isn't designed for deadlifting weight, the deadlift of that fish you want to catch. No, it's the rod pressure you can comfortably put on while you're playing the fish. So if you can fathom that a bit and then grasp the feel of each rod that you in the class that you think you want to buy, with a little bit of help and direction, will get you into the right gear that you need. So pretty much we'll on rod clarification, sizing and things like that has been in the shop. I see quite regular. People struggle with fathoming the name of the rod, the measurement, what it's meant to do and things like that. So a lot of your gear, especially your lighter gear and all that, you will have part numbers, 702 ml. So 702, when you're reading that, some people grasp it straight away, it's a 7-foot rod. That number's telling you that it's 7'2", and it's a medium to light action. So lights in 1 to 3, mediums your 2 to 4s, 3 to 5s, and then you start getting heavier from there, so to speak. So in your finesse stuff, anything you're looking at with your part numbers, don't be afraid to agree with yourself. Like 702, it must be 702. So some of your lighter stuff, some of our Aussie-made stuff like from Wilson and things like that, it's self-explanatory. 6 foot 10, 6 to 12 pound, one piece. Simple, easy way to make a decision. Things like your atomics and that, look, we've got the same deal. 270 UL. So 70 is 7 foot. If you see that, 268, that's 6 foot 8. So you'll grasp it as you go along. And same deal on this one. So this is UL, we're going ultralight. So it's quite simple to fathom it. And then with your heavier gear, you'll get H for heavy, and then XH for extra heavy. As an example with the Therese here, 6 foot 6, XH, 65 to 200 pounds. So extra heavy rod in that application. So still quite simple to read. If you do struggle, we are here. We're here to direct you through it and get you in the right gear. So please don't be afraid to ask. I'll untangle this bit of crap from in here. So stuff like your jigging application. So jigging's a whole nother ball game with reading weight classes and tapers and things like that. Smartest, simplest thing for you to know as a learner, when it comes into your PE ratings, all PE ratings all have a difference. So some people might say it's this much, some might say it's that much. Different companies, their ratings are totally different. If you can base yourself on 1 PE equals 10 pound of pressure, you'll give yourself a good all-round idea for what your rod's up for and what it can do. So jigging applications, same deal in these guys. You'll have a 5S59H, heavy. This is an 8 PE rod. So 8 PE, 10 pound per PE, that's an 80 pound rod. So we can ball class that around about 40 kilos. So it's quite simple. Don't let numbers scare you. If you need us to correct a few things for you and give you a bit more clarity, ask and we'll get you the right gear for what you want to do. So for you people starting off with your bread and butter species in the river, whiting, bream, flatties, small jacks, trevs, things like that. Bass especially, you'll be starting lights, ultralights. So ULs, 1 to 3, lights, 2 to 4, that sort of application. Medium light, ML, you want to start looking at your jacks and things like that in the river. So as I said before, it's quite self-explanatory. It's just a matter of familiarising yourself, building up a bit of confidence, asking that question to get that bit of knowledge. In the river, I mean, beginning of offshore, bit of jigging and things like that. Look, a good staple player for me from sort of 20 metres out to 60 metres, 60 to 80 metres is 3 PE. So 3 PE, I'll pretty much will run 30-pound jigging braid on there, but I will run a 50-pound leader on that because they do accommodate some decent fish at the same time. So you want to be prepared. Anything from that 60 metre out sort of thing, I start going 6 PE, 8 PE. So 6 PE is going to give you still feel for your jigs and things like that, but when you start venturing 100 metres plus, as much as a lot of us do like using our finesse stuff out there, you do hook some big dogs, not by chance, but just by total fluke, and you need to put a bit of pressure on them. So sometimes that lighter gear, you will be there for a long time. Some blokes pull it off, people like me don't. So medium light, medium heavy, it does have a lot to do with the tapers in your rod. So tapers in your rod, you have a fast taper, a medium taper and a slow taper. So a fast taper is a long bend with not much tip in it. So it stays stiff all the way through. Medium taper, you will have that bow, gradual bow through the rod and a lot more softness in the tip. And slow taper, you will have a lot of tip in there, just like so. So there's a lot to it, but if you can sponge a bit in, you will grasp it a lot better. And those situations with your fast and your medium tapers, look, fast tapers and that I like more for an aggressive rod, jack rods, bit of offshore spinning, things like that. My slow medium tapers, I do like it for my finesse stuff, but you can look for rods with a slow to fast taper. So you've got a bit of tip on the bottom, lots of belly, a bit of tip in the top, lots of belly in the bottom. So there's quite a few companies that do make them like that, like your Live Fibres, your Venoms and those sorts of things. They have a great sort of taper in that aspect, and it gives you a lot more feel. If I had to pick one rod to fish the rivers this summer that gives me a good all-rounder, it will be a medium to slow tapered rod. So a bit of belly, plenty of tip, working your plackies. Plastics, you need tip for that to get that lure dancing. The plenty of belly in the rod gives us confidence to fight that fish once we've been using a nice soft tip. So the soft tip sometimes can deter you and go, man, is this rod really heavy enough? But a lot of them you can't appreciate it till you've got a fish on them already. Back to that point where if you get the tapers and everything right, you will work your lures better, you'll present your baits better, you'll cast better. So there's a lot involved in it. Rod's just not a rod anymore. Technology's come a long way. So back to that point, ask the question. That's what we're here for. Get you in the right gear for the money you've got, get you the maximum bang for buck for what you want to do. For the rods we've talked about today, there'll be links in the description down below. Otherwise, if you want to come in and see us and talk about it, quite happy to help.